professional as they do.
Oh, it is, yeah. It really is. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate this. This was very substantive. I appreciate the call.
All right. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay. Thank you. I tried to give him now he can make another video where I split the difference between the two.
On this long continuum.
All the harms. Why do the people put up with being harmed by Social Security for so long?
It's
justice.
It's restitution. If you view it that way, then it's okay to take it. But if that's basically like saying, well, what if I view taking money from the bank that's not mine? It's restitution. Like.
If I had to sum up today's entire video in a single word, it would be complicated. The internet seems to have a very complex relationship with one of its most popular apps, TikTok. Many people hate it. No one really seems to love it. But over the years, one thing has become very clear. No matter how you feel about it, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Allegedly. I know there's been talk about banning it, but nevertheless, it persists. So I have conducted extensive research called Making a Community Post, where I ask people for their unpopular opinions about TikTok. And today we're going to go through and answer some important questions like, how are we feeling about the clock app? Is this a good thing or is this the death of attention spans as we know it? And why is so much content on TikTok like that? You know exactly what I mean. But first, welcome. My name is D'Angelo, and I am your professor of Arboreal Borealis, which is a very real degree that I definitely do have. Or maybe this is just me broadcasting myself talking in my room like YouTube used to be. And in today's lecture, we have our first installment of Here's Why You're Wrong. Or rather, this is the first installment for many of you, though eagle-eyed fans who have been here for a while may remember this series from a few years back, where basically I collect your opinions on a topic and then I go through and decide whether or not you're wrong. Now, of course, the gag is everyone is entitled to their opinion, but also this channel has my name on it, which ultimately makes me the arbiter of everything that is wrong or right within this world. And I can't wait to go mad with power. I feel like it has become way more normal to film someone in public and post it on TikTok without them knowing or consenting. Of course, this happens on other platforms, but on TikTok, it's particularly bad. Just because someone is in a public space does not mean you can film or take pictures of them freely. Here's why you're right. I think with every new iteration of content creation, the barrier to entry gets lower every single time. Like thinking back, you used to need a whole crew, then fast forward to YouTube and it's like you just need a camera and a mic. And then fast forward to TikTok, which encourages basically everyone on the app to be a creator using only their phone. I feel like that's led to the idea that we all are privy to these viral moments and we all have phones and we're all on TikTok. So we must all be opted into the nonsense of posting people without their permission. But really, I think that's just TikTok brain rot. Just because we can now all post anything that happens anywhere does not mean we need to. And I guess that doesn't even just apply to filming people without their consent. The amount of things that people post to TikTok that simply don't need to be on the internet. I feel like our concept of what belongs on the web has been totally warped by the clock app. People oversimplify fandoms to good or bad too much. For example, book talk, because there is a part that acts weird or something, it's viewed as a bad fandom. I just hate the stereotyping of fandoms and stuff, and it happens way too much on TikTok. Here's why you're right. Being a part of any fan group has always been rough because ultimately, as I've said before, fandoms are just collections of people and people are people, unfortunately. So yeah, book talk I think actually does have a lot of problems if you only paid attention to the times it goes viral for being problematic. But it is absurdly unfair to lump all book talk together because there are so many people who are just reading books, going on the clock app, and then wanting to find people to discuss them with. That has nothing to do with the people who are bad actors and giving the fandom a bad name, etc. That being said, to the book talk people who are like that, please find help. To people who make long TikTok series, while I find them juicy and entertaining, there's a better platform for long video content. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's called YouTube. Here's why you're right. Y'all got me messed up if you think I'm going to sit here and watch a 52-minute TikTok series. Y'all got me messed up. I will watch a 52-minute YouTube video any day of the week. Please, I have produced 52-minute YouTube videos. Whenever I sit down to record, I have to curb my yapping so as not to produce another 52-minute YouTube video. I'm looking at my little recording thing right now. I've been talking for more than 52 minutes. So I love me a certified yapper. But if you really think I'm gonna hold my phone in vertical format and just stare at you for an hour, what? If anything, give me something horizontal. Give me a background, please. But that's just me. Long TikTok series do very well on TikTok, so clearly the audience is there. I'm just ancient. I like it when songs get popular on there. Usually they're good and give attention to smaller artists. Now that is an unpopular opinion. Usually TikTok music is good. Here's why you're right. I agree. I love the effect that TikTok has had on music. Do I love songs getting shorter because artists are trying to go viral on TikTok? No, but to be honest, those artists don't have to do that. I can just follow people who care about the art more than going viral on TikTok. I love seeing truly random musicians just reach unparalleled levels of success solely because they made something that people related to. They made something that sounded nice. They made something that got stuck in people's heads. No, I guess I don't really vibe with most of the music that comes out of TikTok, but I don't care. I love music. I just love people being excited about songs. So it makes me happy that even though TikTok has shed its musical roots, music still plays a really huge part for a lot of people. Unlike YouTube clout, TikTok clout is essentially worthless in the long run. Here's why you're wrong. I've actually considered this from a business perspective, and I think that while YouTube clout is a lot more useful directly, I have seen some people leverage TikTok clout into a YouTube career. Just because there are a lot of annoying people on the app does not mean there aren't some really talented people who figure out smart ways to use it to their benefit. However, for the average case, I do actually completely agree with this. Having hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok doesn't really do anything. And so I think it's a little harder to build a brand, though not impossible. It's creating a single giant culture which is weirdly distant from real life. Chronically online folks have a very skewed idea of reality, and also it's bad for literature, fashion, and art. Here's why you're right. Though I wouldn't say this is a problem unique to TikTok by any means, I have noticed that there is a large number of people on the app who think that just because they saw something on TikTok, that means it is happening. That means people care about it. That means it's having an effect. Everybody must be concerned about this right now. But the truth of the matter is that is very rarely the case. Among TikTok users, I'm sure we all are aware of these things, but it's kind of the same thing where if you asked a random YouTube user, hey, did you hear about that crazy thing that happened in the commentary community last week? They're gonna be like, the what? Everything is a bubble. Even the people watching this video and me, we're all within a bubble where we care about the things that we're talking about. But I think TikTok is a lot better at hiding that bubble and kind of giving the illusion that everybody is, once again, in on it. How could you not be? We're all on TikTok, but we're not. We're not. I think banning TikTok is okay. I think we should ban all forms of short content. No more Reels, no more YouTube Shorts, no more TikTok. Let's eradicate short form content. The world was a better place before it. Here's why you're wrong. I think that overstimulating, out of context, brain rotting, rage baiting, just awful, awful content designed only to make someone feel worse or uncomfortable for 60 seconds. I totally believe there should be some sort of reckoning for that, but I would never say that the answer is just to ban short form content outright, because if someone is choosing to tell a story in 60 seconds, which does happen, if they're choosing to make art that is short form content, if they're telling a joke that doesn't need to go on past a minute, showing something off, they're giving a helpful tip, etc., I feel like I definitely understand what you mean when you say the world was a better place before short form content. I don't disagree that we were better off without the average TikTok video, but there is a lot you can do in 60 seconds that is not awful. Also, funnily enough, I never hear this argument applied to Vine. I've never heard anyone say Vine was actually bad and we should have banned it because it was short form content. Again, that's because the content on it is very different from TikTok, but still, that kind of proves that banning short form is not really the answer. Not being allowed to use basic words when discussing serious topics because it's considered explicit will be the death of language. Here's why you're right. Oh my God. It is such a pet peeve for me when people do like the quirky TikTok censoring. They find all these very goofy sounding ways of referring to horrific things that happen to people, and I understand why they're doing it, but when it migrates off platform, I'm just like, guys, what are you doing? Some things need to be taken very seriously. It can be really uncomfortable to talk about certain things, but they still need to be discussed appropriately, in my opinion. And referring to people as rapists or like, you know, unaliving each other or whatever, when you are actually talking about real things that happen, I can't. Engaging with TikTok is optional. Here's why you're right. I don't use TikTok. I have a TikTok account, actually. I'm on there. I was getting impersonated a lot and I just got really tired of it. But as far as watching TikTok or like having a For You page, that's not something I do, actually. When TikTok first started popping off and I realized it wasn't just musically, people were doing more than lip syncing, I kind of thought about my personality type and like my extremely unhealthy relationship with Twitter at that time. And I was like, do I need to introduce another one of these into my life right now? So I didn't. And I'm happy to say, as someone who doesn't use TikTok at all, I don't think I've missed anything. Even when things go viral or happen or important things happen, I do still find out about them very easily. So yes, I would say engaging with TikTok is quite optional and more people should try it. I'm not afraid to say it. Instagram Reels is way better than TikTok. Here's why I can't answer that question, because I also don't use Instagram Reels. Adults on TikTok shouldn't be able to complain about tweens and teens on the app since it's markets for teens and tweens. They already have Facebook. Like, what else do y'all need? Here's why you're wrong in some ways and very right in others. Personally, I think being above a certain age and complaining about what kids are doing on an app is just crazy. Like, if you're mad at kids for making memes, having fun, liking specific music, doing specific fashion trends, just because it's something you, an old, wouldn't do, and this is coming from a fellow old, I just don't understand what would drive someone to do that when... No, I just don't get it. What's wrong with kids having fun? However, I think kids are doing a lot of things on TikTok that go way beyond having fun and veer into dangerous territory. And I am actually so glad that there are adults on the app because we would wind up not knowing most of this. And also, I think that TikTok is not just for teens and tweens. I know it's primarily used that way, but most of my friends who watch TikTok, they're not getting recommended kids at all, actually. There's a lot of people my age, older. There's people who exclusively make things on TikTok that apply to people who are like in their 30s, 40s, etc. There's people on TikTok who do things that have nothing to do with age, you know, certain hobbies, skills. So I do think while TikTok is definitely for the kids, it is also just a platform where a lot of people are, and a lot of those people are older. TikTok is exactly what you get when you combine 2011 through 2014 era Tumblr with Vine. Here's why you're right, because I was a fan of 2011 through 2014 era Tumblr. It's something I try very hard not to think about. But yes, many of the things I do see on the Clock app are quite similar. TikTok has helped make it so that people don't know how to be bored. This has been a trend that's been building up over the years, but I feel like since TikTok exploded in popularity, it's gotten worse. It's okay for kids, teens, and adults to be bored. It doesn't have to be something going on or something in your face all the time. Being bored can help give your brain a break. Here's why you're right. I do definitely consider this to be one of the biggest issues that has gotten worse because of TikTok. I have witnessed people fill 30 to 45 seconds of their time with just watching like 2 or 3 videos on TikTok. And look, I'm no brain person, but I can't help but imagine that's not the best thing ever, right? That doesn't seem like a positive development for humanity, because it's exceedingly abnormal to think to yourself, I have 25 seconds, I need to fill it with something, some form of stimulation. And so TikTok making that so easy, it's concerning. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Despite its many flaws, it has allowed many folks to learn more about themselves and form communities. For example, autistic folks. As an autistic therapist who sees a lot of autistic clients, I've seen how life-changing autistic self-realization can be. Here's why you're right. I think that is one of the biggest ways in which it is similar to Tumblr. Do you know how many people had life-changing epiphanies about who they were, or even ways in which they were allowed to present themselves on Tumblr? Tumblr? I know I did. And regardless of the nonsense that was happening on that platform, that was a net positive. I'm so glad I saw people being different at such an early age, because then I kind of realized like, oh, they're not different actually. And so any sort of identity or experience one may have, finding other people, again, coming together to discuss that, that's a positive. This may be a cold take, but I hate how much of an effect TikTok is having on other social media platforms. I hate the way vertical short form content is the only way upcoming creators can get noticed. Whatever happened to Instagram being a photo sharing platform? Here's why you're right with a side of wrong. It takes a lot of planning and strategy, but you absolutely can launch a long form content career right now on YouTube without ever posting a short. Short form content gives the illusion of being the only way to help smaller creators get noticed. But the truth of the matter is you probably usually don't want to be noticed that way if you have goals of creating anything other than short form content. The audience doesn't really cross over as much as people seem to think it does. But with that being said, seeing literally every social media platform scramble to copy TikTok, it has been incredibly annoying. And the TikTokification of social media is just oof. My unpopular opinion is that I like it. I like to watch funny videos with my partner at nighttime. Here's why you're right. I actually think this is the first unpopular opinion in the entire video. I did ask for unpopular opinions, and I do think most of these are like absurdly popular opinions. I actually think it's quite uncommon to just like TikTok. Like, oh yeah, Snap, it's cool. I put it on sometimes. I think that is an extremely valid opinion. Congrats on actually being unpopular. TikTok Shop is just glorified teleshopping. Here's why you're right. I wouldn't even say it's glorified. It's just the same thing, honestly. I remember being a kid and watching infomercials for like the weirdest products. A lamp that is brighter than the sun. Call right now and you can buy it in just two easy payments of $19.99. And that energy of like, you have to buy this, you have to buy this right now, you have to buy this right now, or you're actually gonna die. That seems to be alive and well on TikTok nowadays. Everyone's buying this one thing that they don't need. Better get it. Obviously, I don't think things like this are ever gonna go away. It's just kind of funny seeing it cycle and take new forms over the years. Not all TikToks have a negative impact. Some can be educational, inspiring, or entertaining in a good way. Though it may have a negative impact on mental health, TikTok is not the sole reason someone's suppressed or anxious, so there's no reason to completely demonize it. Also, it's okay to find music you like through TikTok. Here's why you're right. It is obscenely upsetting that there is like a mental health crisis. And so seeing something like TikTok, which in many ways can exacerbate this issue, I think it's very easy to direct all of your attention there, because now you finally have a name for it. But the truth of the matter is TikTok is one part of this weird, awful world that we live in that makes it kind of easy to be very unhappy literally all the time. And objectively, there is content on TikTok that is helpful. Now, there's plenty of conversations to be had about, does it outweigh this or does it outweigh that? That's not for me to decide. I'm not into banning content, but I really think it's probably more beneficial to get to the bottom of the systemic issues that cause these problems, not only the surface level issues. TikTok is a very surface level representation of deep issues that I think are affecting a lot of people. No one under 16 should be on it. Here's why, I can't say whether you're right or wrong. I don't know anything about developmental anything in regards to children or what's healthy or not healthy. I can't very well opine on what kids should or should not be doing. I'm sure there are ways to supervise TikTok and make it not TikTok. However, what I truly believe is that no one under 16 should be posting content with their face to the internet. You can do whatever you want to do, obviously. But when I think back, I'm just so glad I never had the opportunity to put my face out there when I was a minor for so very many reasons. None of which I could have understood when I was a minor. But again, that's just an opinion. That's not me saying what people should or should not do. I'm definitely not, the CEO of good parenting, don't have any kids. I mean, I do have this little friend. They're not a kid. They're more of like a buddy, I guess. Also, I do have to take accountability. I have gone too long without choosing a name or the bunny. So go ahead and tell me what name we should pick canonically. And then next time I check this video, whatever the comment is that has the most likes, that's a name for the bunny, I will officially make that their name. Please pick something that fits, something that, you know, really captures their essence. Pick a boy name, girl name, any name. We don't have to gender the stuffed rabbit. And yeah, I'm curious to see what you come up with. It isn't good for us. Here's why I'm scared. This is worded so ominously. It's not the worst thing to happen to the internet, but it's a pretty close third behind 4chan and 8chan. But here's why you're wrong. No way. Listen, horrible things happen on TikTok. Awful things have happened on that platform involving danger of loss of life, etc. I think it's had an extremely negative effect on an untold number of millions of people, many of whom are children. But oh my God, if 4chan and 8chan are your number 1 and 2 worst things to happen to the internet, I think there are a lot of websites that go between them and TikTok. And in fact, you can even find pockets on other websites that are basically just 4chan and 8chan. I have seen on Reddit, Twitter, just things where I'm like, how is this currently being hosted on the internet? Like, this is sitting on someone's server, and y'all are okay with that? I personally don't think the worst people on the internet are congregating on TikTok. But I bring this up not because I think this person is wrong, only because 4chan and 8chan are just one heck of a starting point. I honestly think TikTok is overhated. It's no worse than any social media, and basically blaming it for the internet's toxicity is bonkers. Yes, a lot of toxicity is spread on TikTok, and its algorithm is really good at radicalizing, but that is true for every single social media. The problem is with the whole industry, and we need to hold all companies equally accountable for their dystopian BS. Here's why you're right. Once again, this is a very unpopular opinion, but I completely agree with it. It's not that TikTok is overhated. It's really just that same level of scrutiny should be applied unilaterally across social media companies. When I think about some of the awful things that have happened on Reddit, like leaking celebrities' nudes without their consent, entire subreddits just dedicated to thirsting over literal children. When I think about some of the things that have happened on Facebook, people using it to organize extremely dangerous activities, being like one of the biggest sources of political disinformation the internet has ever seen. When I think about things that happen on Twitter, like, it really just goes on and on and on. When I think about things that have happened on YouTube, frankly, you know what I mean? It's pretty irresponsible for me to sit here and gleefully say, TikTok, you are uniquely problematic. The uniqueness lies in the format, because yes, it's a little different from other companies, but it doesn't lie in its problematic nature. Saying we need to ban TikTok solely based off of not liking some of the bad things that happen on it, or even the majority of things on it being bad, that could immediately apply to every other social media. The never-ending bandwagon effect. It irks me that people genuinely decide to do/buy something just because it's trending on TikTok. Think of Stanley Cups, for example. Here's why you're right, but here's why I don't see it as a unique problem to TikTok. We have always had fashion trends, you know? Yes, the Stanley Cup is a fashion trend. There's always been things that are cool to have just because you saw other people having it, not because you actually needed it. I remember being a kid and I wanted Heelys so badly. Oh my God, I would have committed a crime. I would have jumped a kid for his Heelys, honestly. I didn't want those because I needed them or because I thought I would use them for more than an extended period of time. I just wanted them because I saw them. They looked so cool. They were designed to appeal to me, and they did. I've seen things in real life, in magazines, on TV, just become these big cultural trends for no reason. And so yeah, it's definitely annoying, but is it a TikTok issue? In many ways, yes. When you see people doing things like Shein haul, just bought 50 articles of clothing from Shein for no reason, you get rewarded more for promoting that because of TikTok. So if anything, I would say it has taken an issue and ramped it up to 11, which I think it has done with a lot of issues. Is it unpopular to say that it's quite amazing to see how TikTok and a few other forms of social media, but TikTok does it the best, has put editing into the hands of anyone and everyone. People talk about social media being the death of filmmaking, and yet everyone is a filmmaker now. Here's why you're right. Because if it had not gotten just progressively easier for people to create content, you wouldn't be watching this video.
This video has been brought to you by the generous support of Ground News. Well, hello everyone, Hugo here. I've been going down a brain rot rabbit hole of sorts for the past month. No, not the for real, get on point, the Riz was rigged from the start type of brain rot. I kind of even W in chat with that stuff right now, on God, or at least I have to because I now regularly stream on Twitch. Link below. No, what I'm talking about here is much worse. Real brain rot. Political brain rot. Okay, I want you to picture ISIS. Now make them white. Now make them Christian. Now make them fascist. Now instead of Syria and Iraq, imagine they wanted to conquer Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and western Montana. Welcome to the Northwest Territorial Imperative. A bunch of people read a book about a lady that can talk to leaves and is fighting against a demon who invented Jews and society to keep them away from going back to nature, and they were like, yeah, that makes sense. This is my whole personality now. Thank you very much. Spiritual racism and eugenics. Incredible stuff. Hitler, after his suicide, would be deified as the ninth avatar of Vishnu, the Hindu god. So, being a disgusting content goblin, I said to myself, why not share in this mind-numbing experience with my lovely Tavarishi, my audience? Now, I've always prided myself with aggressively combating fascist rhetoric, ideology, and dog whistles. It's pretty much a third of everything I've made here on the channel. But I feel like while covering these psychotic creeps, I might have lost myself in the seriousness of it all. Because let's be honest here for a second. Most of these so-called groups and ideological currents are so totally and absolutely divorced from reality that taking them too seriously, to an extent, gives them power. So, today we're taking it easy. I want you to tuck yourself into your most comfortable blanket. Pour yourself one of your favorite funny or serious liquids and enjoy a dive into some of the nichest, weirdest, and most brain-broken right-wing political movements I've ever seen. Look at this as collecting Pokemon. Just very hateful, depressed, demonic, murderous Pokemon. To make things a bit more interesting, I decided to chart them on a graph. Because we're serious scientists here after all, and as we all know, for graphs we need lines. Factors, you'll excuse me. There's a reason I studied political science, not an actual science. Math was successfully exercised out of my brain at birth. Now, yes, factors. Well, there's two of them. The evil scale and the wacky scale. Evil is, well, pretty straightforward, and while we don't subscribe to simplistic liberal notions of in this case, we'll just define it as wanting to do things that are defined as bad by normals. And the wackiness, which is, well, from one represented by this picture of a middle-aged American suburban white woman to Alex Jones. No. Alex Jones shirtless. Good? Everything clear? Then, my friends, jump in. Imagine if someone read Lord of the Rings, the Shire, the orcs, the wizards, elves, dwarves, the politics, the wars, the tribes, and the philosophy. But instead of putting down the books and continuing with their life after reading it, they said, holy shit, all of this is true and actually happened. Time to create and organize a political cult on the basis of what was written in this particular fictional book, but make it extra anti-Semitic. Well, this exists. Just instead of talking, it's some guy called Vladimir MWIII. And instead of Lord of the Rings, it's called The Rigging Sellers of Russia. Basically, a guy wrote a book about some lady Anastasia who is in tune with nature and is in sync with the animals and trees of the forest as they willingly follow her commands. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, she's an environmentalist forest wizard. MWIII says he met somewhere in Siberia. The book sold millions of copies and eventually had a whole movement started under the blazing, guiding light of Our Lady Anastasia. Basically, they go back to living in the forest and shit, turning their homes into self-sustainable communities, which would be innocent enough, classic LARPy, cult, yada yada yada. Nowhere even close to deserving a spot on our list, right? But no. Anastasia can't just hang out in her forest and have fish served to her by bears. No. The main bad guy of this holistic, natural way of life, the return to humanity sync with nature, whatever that's supposed to mean, is an ingredient called Grady. And Grady wants to control humanity by convincing them they're free while ruling them through a system of democracy. Democracy, get it? Democracy, but like democracy. He invents Jews as foot soldiers to put everyone in debt. Yeah, that's the whole plot. A bunch of people read a book about a lady that can talk to leaves and is fighting against a demon who invented Jews and society to keep them away from going back to nature, and they were like, yeah, that makes sense. This is my whole personality now. Thank you very much. Wacky, off the charts. Evil, well, yes, because of the rampant anti-Semitism, but at least their isolation is to a point, so haven't blown too much shit up yet. In a galaxy far, far away, humans were so racist. No, wait, that's our galaxy. Roll that back. In this exact galaxy, on this exact planet, humans are so racist that when they began exploring space, they took the racism with them. This is a story of space racism. Yes, that's a real fucking thing. At the end of the 19th century, ideas of space travel and extraterrestrial life captivated the public. Astronomer Giovanni Schiappelli's observation of Mars led to speculation about dried-out water tunnels on the planet, further watering fantasies of extraterrestrial life. In 1902, George MWIII produced the first science fiction film, Trip to the Moon. Occult societies like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn also explored these ideas through astral travel and visualization exercises. Aleister Crowley and others believed that cosmic powers could influence human evolution and create superhumans through occult practices. Simultaneously, science fiction authors like A.G. Wells imagined humans interacting with superior extraterrestrial beings, such as in War of the Worlds and Star Forgotten. Wells envisioned humanity evolving into a higher state, while most people faced catastrophe due to overpopulation, war, and ecological collapse. One specific movement, the Theosophy, founded by Helena Blavatsky, played a significant role in the intersection of the occult and UFO culture. Blavatsky's ideas of spiritual evolution, guided by superhuman beings called the Masters, influenced the occult mainstream. I know as mainstream as speaking through card decks and light bubbles can be. Anyways, she believed humanity evolved through different root races, some superior to others. This is where it gets spicy. Philosophy and its offshoots in Germany emphasized Aryan supremacy, with figures like Rudolf Steiner and Georg Lanz promoting, and I kid you not, spiritual racism and eugenics. Again, spiritual racism and eugenics. Incredible stuff, okay? These ideas even ended up influencing some of the more colorful Nazis who embraced the belief that Aryans were a superior race with origins in lost civilizations like Atlantis. Between the 50s and the 90s, though, white supremacy and anti-Semitism found their way even more into UFO culture. Contactees, which is guys that say they saw something or interacted with something that comes outside of our planet, like George Adamski, who in particular claims to have encountered tall, alien-looking aliens blended ideas from theosophy with alien theories, further expanding racism lore. Apparently, many early alien sightings described Nordic aliens resembling the Aryan race or whatever. I mean, it just sounds like they saw a really, really white person in the dark, but what do I know? I'm not an accredited space racist academic. Anyways, continuing our downward spiral into space Nazis, we reach William Dudley, a fascist and occultist who promoted the idea that extraterrestrials had selectively bred humans, resulting in a spiritual hierarchy where white people were oh so conveniently superior. Dudley's ideas, which he called celestial eugenics, influenced later figures who introduced what has now become an eternal classic: reptilian aliens who are either manipulated by, manipulate, or work together with. Come on, kids. You can guess this one. Get going. Yes, you'll guess the Jews, of course. They really did it differently back then, and by differently, I mean absolutely nothing has changed. Jesus Christ, what are we doing? Now, let's jump to our era. The era of the star seed. The concept is simple. People who believe they are extraterrestrial souls trapped in a human body, a modern development in UFO culture with roots in earlier ideas like Crowley's New Children or A.G. Wells' Star Begotten and William Dudley's Star Guests. The term star seed, which makes me pretty uncomfortable, was first used by Timothy Leary in the 1970s during his time in prison, where he claimed to receive messages from the star Sirius urging humanity to evolve into superior beings who would seed a new planet. The idea gained traction in popular culture, including hoax, documentaries, science fiction, and New Age movements. Authors popularized it with books and by offering questionnaires to help individuals identify if they were star seeds. This sparked a trend of spiritual influencers claiming starseed identities and past lives on other planets. Today, the concept of star seeds has gained immense popularity, especially among Zoomers, with TikTok videos about star seeds garnering millions of views. Books, shows, and quizzes have proliferated, and the idea appeals to many as a way to explain feelings of alienation or superiority by believing they are beings from another galaxy with an important mission on Earth. They're often portrayed as special, cosmic beings destined for a heroic purpose, but with a twist. Only some humans are starseeds, and therefore they are superior. This distinction can lead to mental splits, rejection of negativity through denial, and disengagement from any earthly concerns like, reading the news or getting a vaccine, while focusing on ascending to a utopian new Earth. This culture of spiritual superiority has darker elements, echoing its historic roots, which we covered earlier, roots in race theory, segregation, and even Nazism. The starseed mythology is racial overtones, particularly the popularity of Aryan-like aliens connected to older UFO and occult movements that have often trafficked in white supremacy, conspiracy theories, and pseudo-religious rapture myths. The fluid nature of all of these belief systems, which remain grounded in feelings rather than evidence, can easily shift from spiritual ecstasy to paranoia, contributing, as they have, to right-wing extremist organizations from the literal Nazi Party to QAnon wackos and January 6 stormers. Space race science, as crazy as it might sound to us, is here to stay. Because, as I said earlier, if you're putting your pinky in racist insanity, you might as well jump all in. There's nothing to lose but your sanity. This is by far the wackiest shit I've ever had the privilege of diving into. Taking the petty, anti-intellectual, and simply incorrect idea of racial hierarchy and expanding it with stars makes me fully understand why aliens are staying the fuck away from us. Otherwise, it's kinda so extra goofy. It kind of balances out the evens. I don't know, 4 to 5 out of 10. You know what's not 5 out of 10? Race riots, straight 1 out of 10. But to the way recent events in the UK were covered, you would think it's either the collapse of society or nothing's happening at all. That's the problem with biased media reporting on events which are sometimes pretty cut and dry. And this is where the sponsor of today's video, Ron News, comes into They're an app and website that gathers related news articles from diverse sources to show different perspectives on the same story. And every story in Ground News comes with a quick visual breakdown of a news source's political bias, factuality, and ownership, so you can understand how these factors might influence their reporting. Take the story I mentioned earlier about far-right hate crime and riots spreading all over the UK. Thanks to their quick breakdown, we can see through most of the ideological bending of information. In this case, the left emphasizes Keir Starmer's labeling of violence as far-right thuggery and the strong condemnation of far-right organizers, reflecting the focused blame on their specific political ideology, while right-wing media underscores Starmer's stance on political accountability and swift justice as they clean their hands of the riots and call for peace, as if they never had a hand in proliferating the very hateful ideology that led to the riots. With Ground News, I can quickly catch up to the story from different political perspectives based on more than 80 articles I found covering this one. I can also see it's been covered more by what GN considers left-leaning sources, as the right try to do its best to ignore the ongoing chaos. My favorite feature to play with, though, is being able to see who broke the story first using the Ground News timeline. In this case, it wasn't even the Brits themselves, but a French publication. Without Ground News and full access to every perspective, we risk overlooking the complexity of most stories. That's why I follow my most important topics like the US election or the ongoing conflict in Gaza and create a personalized news feed so I can fully stay informed on the news most important to me. And you can do that too. Start seeing the bigger picture today and go to ground.news/Ugopnik or scan my QR code to get a more well-rounded view of complex issues. Use my link to get 40% off the same unlimited access Vantage plan I use and support an independent platform to other news prepared for us. What do you get when you take a bunch of misogynists, racists, homophobes who really want to touch each other and you put them in a forest to get messed up by psychedelics and you preach Old Norse pagan history? Well, the Wolves of Winland. The most toxically bro-coded right-wing ideological splinter movement, pretty much led by a gay guy who says he's not gay, he's just really, really masculine, so he has sex with men. Yes, I wish I was making all of this up. Jack Donovan, the central figure in the movement, is an author and speaker who preaches a philosophy of self-mastery, tribal masculinity, and violence as a means of survival. So hard, so throbbing, so manly. Donovan rejects gay culture, preferring a form of androphilia that celebrates masculine bonds between men while defending homophobia as a way to preserve male-dominated groups. Gay guy stuck in a bigoted straight guy's body, I guess. No more right-winger, am I right, guys? He leads a chapter of the Wolves of Winland that reject modern society and embrace a Germanic heathenism filled with racial and gender hierarchies. Basically, they never got the news that even the alpha-beta myth about wolves wasn't really a thing, so they took Sigma TikTok compilations and made it their whole worldview, where depending on your ethnic, gender, and ideological background, you categorize in different strata of their ultra-mega man hierarchy. Donovan's own ideas align with this ethno-pluralist doctrine, advocating for racial and cultural separatism, guise of tribalism, which is supposed to fight what they call the empire of nothing. At the core of Donovan's worldview is the belief that violence is the ultimate tool for preserving these identities, basically prison logic, but applied on a social scale, where a white man must reclaim his rightful position by proving himself as stronger than all others in the field of battle. And I guess in the sack too, right, Donovan? Anyways, the Wolves of Winland, racist bros who want to touch their other racist bros in a very, very non-gay way, led by a racist gay guy who wants a race war, is the premise. Yeah, these guys are really not okay. Wacky off the charts because they make even less sense than the run-of-the-mill right-wing operation. Evil off the charts because, well, they just want to see everyone kill each other. What do you think when you think mom? For most of us, loving, caring creatures, dedicating a whole part of their short life here on Earth to raising a new life, to introducing wisdom, love, and basic civilization qualities to a new member of a growing society. Well, what if I told you there's another type of mom? A true, red-blooded, patriotic type of mom. Mums of Liberty. Moms of Liberty was founded in 2021 in Florida by former school board members Tiffany Justice and Tina Deschich, an anti-government group focused on opposing what is considered the woke indoctrination of children, particularly regarding gender identity, LGBT issues, and all-inclusive curriculum in schools. Their activism includes supporting book bans, targeting school officials, endorsing political candidates for political views, and so on, which is so incredibly anti-government. They also seek the abolition of the Department of Education and spread conspiracies about public schools and the LGBTQ community. The group advocates against inclusive education, critical race theory, and social emotional learning. They are vocal opponents of gender-affirming care and the recognition of LGBTQ rights in schools. Moms of Liberty also promotes book bans and campaigns for school board seats, using their influence to reshape educational policies in favor of their conservative agenda. They have spread disinformation using terms like groomers to vilify LGBTQ educators and activists. That's kind of their whole shtick, really. A union of bigoted Karens screaming about how the gays are coming for your kids. Yeah. The group has been a key player in the wave of book bans sweeping across schools in the U.S. Basically, if it talks about the genocide of Native Americans, gay rights, or the exploitation of Black Americans, it's on their book burning list. Moms for Liberty quickly grew after its 2021 debut on Rush Limbaugh's show, expanding to 250 chapters across 42 states with over 110,000 members, making them by far the most successful group of wackos on today's list. They gained attention from conservative media figures like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. The group held high-profile fundraisers and national summits featuring speakers like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. In summary, Moms of Liberty is the answer to the age-old question: what if conservative, privileged American suburban women got to create their own ideology? And the answer, as we can see, isn't very pretty. Correctness is pretty mid because they're your run-of-the-mill racist homophobes, but the evil is off the charts because, well, the target are kids. And they have actual, real political... Okay, I want you to picture ISIS. Now make them Muslim. Now make them Christian. Now make them fascist. Now instead of Syria and Iraq, imagine they wanted to conquer Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Western Montana. Welcome to the Northwest Territorial Imperative.
Securing objective Charlie.
The Northwest Territorial Imperative, often shortened to the Northwest Imperative, was a white separatist idea that gained traction among white nationalists, white supremacists, white neo-Nazi groups in the United States during the 1970s and 1980s. The concept was based on the belief that the Pacific North region, including Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and parts of Montana, could be turned into an Aryan ethno-state free of non-whites, Jews, and other minority groups. The project's goal was to establish a separatist white homeland in a remote, predominantly white area of the country where the federal government and minority populations would have no influence. The region's geographic isolation, combined with its access to natural resources, seaports, and Canada, was seen as strategically important for the establishment of a self-sufficient white nationalist state. The project has been called by various names over the years, including the Northwest Imperative, the White Aryan Republic, the White Aryan Bastion, and the White Christian Republic. Some white supremacists also refer to it as the 10% solution, reflecting the fact that the proposed white nation would only occupy roughly 10% of the United States. In July 1986, the Aryan Nations Congress was held around the theme of the Northwest Territorial Imperative. The event was attended by over 200 KKK and neo-Nazi leaders, as well as between 4,000 and 5,000 white supremacist activists. During the Congress, Robert E. Miles declared that the goal of the project could be achieved by white nationalists migrating to the area, buying land, and having large families. He believed that white supremacists could outbreed their opponents and shield their children from what he viewed as the insane and destructive values of the current U.S. government and mainstream society. Good music and spice on food, I guess, is the eternal enemy of the white racist. But whatever, this idea of establishing a white nation or populating the region with large white families gained traction among some members of the movement. Others proposed more radical solutions like domestic tea, the big G, and famously, the great S. While the Northwest Imperative never gained widespread mainstream support and remains primarily a fringe idea, it has persisted within certain far-right circles. The movement reflects a broader trend with these spice-hating ideologies that often overlap with calls for the big G and the big D. Their position on the wackiness scale would have been much lower, as this is as classic of a separatist movement as you can imagine. But then I realized these people actually want to live in Oregon and Idaho. Now seriously, that's some crazy shit. Before we dive into our last depraved right-wing group of the day, let's take a moment to look at our dishonorable mentions. They're wacky, they're evil, they suck, but not enough to get on the list. Here we have Nazi furries. Yeah, I mean, it's furries, but they've developed advanced internal hatred amongst the different animal tribes that come to their orgies or something. So some of them have embraced the fur-er. Forget it, Führer, but it's fur. Yeah. Next, gay Aryan skinheads. They're gay and Nazi. That's the thing, I guess. It's edgy. Yeah. Phineas priesthood would probably hit the highest rank on the evil scale, but didn't make the cut because it's not an actual movement, more like a rank or an idea. A rank or an idea you get if you unalive an interracial couple. Yeah, it's definitely not Phineas and Ferb. Falun Gong, a fascist cult that worships Trump and preaches that science, feminism, and homosexuality are satanic. They've been kicked out of China, so they cry about it and ask for money on street corners. They also do a ice skating performance in the U.S. It's a lot. Very, very extra, too extra. Leviathan. Use that pretend to like animals so they can beat the shit out of minorities as an excuse to defend animals. The type that steals a homeless man's dog instead of helping the homeless man himself. Animal rights fascists is what I could call them, I guess. Quite the mouthful. And finally, Savitri Devi's spin on esoteric Hitlerism. She thought Hitler, after his suicide, would be deified as the ninth avatar of Vishnu, the Hindu god, and looked at the Indian caste system as the ultimate method in which Aryan purity can be upheld as the lower grades are used for different types of expendable labor. Oh, she also thought that she meditated hard enough she could communicate with dead Hitler.
I'm just as surprised as you are.
Oh, and she was French. Totally French. And now on to our last group. The Order of 9 Angels is a group that somehow found a way to blend elements of Satanism and Nazism and a bunch of other stuff. So, brain rot on steroids. It's seen by most scholars as one of the most extreme and dangerous forms of Satanism, combining classic horned daddy worship with love for Hitler. The ONA is described as satanic Nazi and celebrates anti-Christian, elitist, and social Darwinist doctrines. They basically differentiate themselves from other right-wing movements by adding evil to rich white person as their ideal of who gets to inherit the earth. The ONA rejects mainstream satanic organizations for being too superficial and lacking real engagement with their beliefs. Instead, the ONA promotes a way of life focused on individual transformation through violence, aiming to create a new individual. They argue that current civilization is decline due to Jewish, Christian influence, blah, 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 and predict a future Aryan imperium and falling asleep that will lead to a galactic civilization, clearly more original, and so on and so on. Politically extreme, obviously, the ONA openly praises Nazi Germany and Holocaust denial. Some members join neo-Nazi terrorist or antisocial movements as part of their so-called spiritual development, aiming to destabilize modern society. The ONA promotes human sacrifice as a means of personal empowerment, targeting people they define as weak. Their members have been involved in several high-profile incidents, including the 1997 Taylor Spark murder in Sweden and various terror plots in the US and UK, from soldiers almost executing their own barracks in the name of enlightenment to agents trying to leak classified explosive data to the public. They're far from passive, albeit a bit fail-safe. Yeah, these guys are just the worst. Not much to add here, really. I stopped analyzing after the human sacrifice part and active terrorism. So, yeah, just the worst. I always thought it was the aesthetics of fascism that was the appeal. Or maybe the simplistic explanation, easy to believe, where all your troubles come from. But no, it's always been that itch. Impossible to scratch for any of us who haven't really experienced it, even for a fleeting moment. Purpose. All these men and women following in the footsteps of what might to us seem like absolute and utter depraved insanity, are seeking just that, purpose. And while nothing excuse choosing hatred, it should make us question just how far from their brain-broken worldviews are we. How many more steps can we take without purpose before we completely lose ourselves? Or even worse, jump into an ideal worse than a purposeless life? I guess that's the point to an extent. That even not finding it, because most of us never will, is better than giving every inch of our humanity to an easy answer, which promises to fill the void only to end up expanding. It's better to search for eternity than sell yourself to, well, spacefaring Satanists not at all gay wicked forest wizards. At least in my book. God, this video is getting demonetized into oblivion, so it's only thanks to the wonderful supporters over on Patreon that I even get to do this sort of stuff. So, for the price of a can of beer or less a month, you can help support this show too by clicking on one of the links in the descriptions and becoming a patron. Thank you in advance for even considering. Now, here's all the wonderful Tavarishi, without whom none of this would be possible. Thank you for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, that means you'll probably be interested in the live stream segment of what I do here. Check out the links below if you're on Twitch, or watch the highlights over on my Ugopnik live channel. Now, it's time to thank all my wonderful patrons, without whom none of this would be possible. Especially...
Hello. I don't really feel like $1,000,000 today, that's for sure. I'm not exactly, feeling all chipper or anything, but I thought that this was important enough to come on in here and talk about. Now, I know most of you know this by now, but I've kind of retired the Jersey number when it comes to drama reporting. I don't really talk about drama in general, unless it's like really weird or wacky stuff, like, the Secret Service shitter, where that Secret Service agent broke into someone's house to drop a floater. But aside from that, I just don't really make content around that anymore. But I had to make an exception for this story today. Yesterday, I mentioned that I was going down the 40K Warhammer lore rabbit hole, and that I got randomly fed lemonade stand crimes that bled into the algorithm for some reason, and then I ended up going down that rabbit hole. Well, I also got fed a deep humor drama rabbit hole. Now, I filmed some of this yesterday when I wasn't feeling as dog shitty, and so you're going to see some flip-flop in here where I don't seem that, miserable. And then I'm going to cut in with a jump scare where I do feel miserable. So you're going to be seeing a lot of twists and turns, not only in the story we're covering, but in, the condition of Charles presenting it.
So there is a YouTuber that is also named Deep Humor that is pretty much trying to take my name on Twitter, and they have messaged me and demanded the name Deep Humor. This channel makes videos in Turkish where it seems to be some types of street interviews and scenarios. I think they're supposed to be comedy videos. This was a video that I made 6 years ago in August of 2018. Here's what I had to say in the video.
So I was on Social Blade marveling at the 5 subs that I get every single month. Then I noticed something.
Basically, this YouTuber named Deep Humor for 6 years has been dealing with a channel that goes by Deep Humor as well, drowning him out in the YouTube algorithm to the point where you can't find his channel unless you go to like a direct link or scroll to like the very bottom, like godforsaken territory on page 2 of YouTube search. So this is a video he made back in 2018 when he first became aware that there was another Deep Humor YouTube channel that had the same name and even the same logo, a logo that he himself whipped up. So this has been an ongoing issue that he's dealt with since the very beginning of his channel.
They have the same name and the same logo that I made myself with little effort, but you know, still.
He goes on to say in that video that he's not particularly bothered, more just surprised that someone would take his name and logo when he only had 78 subscribers at the time. I've got a little fan theory here. I think that the Deep Humor channel that took the logo didn't even know that this YouTuber existed. I think what happened is they just Googled Deep Humor, went to Google Images, and this guy's channel profile pic popped up and he said, that one. And they just right-clicked Save As and then used it for his channel. I don't think he ever even found the YouTuber's channel, but that's just my little tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. It doesn't really change anything because the fact of the matter remains he clearly did take his channel profile pic. And over the course of months, that Deep Humor impersonator channel started to gain steam, thousands of subs and hundreds of thousands of views, which changed his perspective on it because now his channel couldn't be found because it would only go to that channel, once again using his same name and logo. Even though the content was wildly different, Turkish street interviews versus English commentary videos, it is still obvious that they used his logo that he made. He also mentioned that Deep Humor isn't the most unique name in the world. That's like the John Smith of YouTube handles. Millions of people could have thought of that. He's 100% right.
Obviously, if you make a YouTube channel called Deep Humor, it's not a big deal because that's quite an ambiguous name. It's not like it's something super unique. It is, you know, a name that somebody else could have thought of.
The issue wasn't really in the name itself. It was the combination of his channel logo being taken with that name. It made it so no one could ever find his channel because now there's 2 with the same name, same logo, and YouTube's always going to push the more popular one.
I don't even know what the fuck this guy's uploading anymore. Let's go look at his stupid channel. And
interestingly enough, that channel did actually end up getting banned for copyright infringement. But just like a Hydra, you cut off one Deep Humor head, 2 more take its place.
I don't know if you guys had caught in the Social Blade part of my video, that channel was actually made on June 21st, 2017. And remember that you can change your YouTube channel username, channel art at any time. The reason why I am mentioning that is because all of a sudden, after this guy had gotten banned, maybe a month or 2 afterwards, there was another channel that popped up called Deep Humor. This channel was made in 2016. It was actually even before my channel was made.
He states that a month after Deep Humor Judgment Day, there was a new one that popped up, which was the current one right here. Same content, Turkish street interviews, but now it's called Deep Humor. So he speculates that the name was changed. And I think he's probably right because when you were searching Deep Humor back in 2018, that channel would have absolutely popped up. Since it was made in 2016 and this channel has been popular for a while, it would have been in the search, but it wasn't. So what likely happened was after that channel got banned, the person behind it went to this channel and changed the name to Deep Humor, but this time didn't use the same logo that had just got their previous account banned. That's what I think happened and seems to be what the real Deep Humor seems to think as well.
And so in another video where I had talked about this, people were getting on me saying, oh, but this person made their channel before me, so how did they copy me? Well, they copied me because they clearly just changed their YouTube username to Deep Humor, which, like I said, anyone can do at any time. I believe this is the same person that had gotten banned all those years ago, and that same person who had originally taken my YouTube channel icon. Why do I believe this? Because just like that channel so many years ago, this channel also makes Turkish street videos.
This is still just the tip of the iceberg, by the way. This is going to turn into a full reverse flash situation for deep humor. Like, this is the reverse deep humor. So that kind of sums up the genesis of this deep humor war here. And now we get to where things get very spicy and it gets out of control quick.
I don't want your Twitter page. I just want your username in exchange for money. How much can you give? I just said, hello, how much money are you offering? Obviously, if they offered me like $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever, I would probably give them the username because it's real life and I do need that type of money. And I don't really make any money off YouTube, unfortunately, mainly because of this guy.
The battlefield shifts from YouTube to Twitter as Deep Humor receives an interesting DM from this gentleman saying that he wants to purchase the Deep Humor username for his Twitter page, and he's offering him $50. 50 clams, and he doesn't even have the courtesy to throw in an over-the-pants hand job. And he couldn't even wait more than 6 minutes before just going mask off, revealing that he's the villain. He goes, "What's your answer, buddy?" He's treating this like it's a scene out of fucking Pulp Fiction. What does Deep Humor look like? Does he look like a bitch? Like, man, you didn't even give him time to process that. He's acting like a virgin who's not getting immediate text back from his love interest, you know? Like, it's been 3 minutes. Do you hate me? Is that what's going on here? Like, holy shit, man. It's not like you just made him some kind of life-changing offer here. It's not like you just opened up a briefcase full of money for the Deep Humor channel. You offered him $50 out of nowhere for the Deep Humor Twitter page. And then only 9 minutes after the "what's your answer, buddy," he gets even more douchey and hostile, saying, "Come on, man, I don't want your page, I just want your username. Look, you don't have any interaction on Twitter, so losing this username won't cause you any loss." What an asshole, and also what a terrible businessman. Yeah, I can't wait to sell you this Deep Humor username now that you've insulted me. I'd love to shake hands on that, you piece of shit. Like, what? I don't know, like, I'll never understand people like this. It has not even been like half an hour since you reached out and made an offer. How can you be this impatient and this much of an asshole? I really don't get it. I don't know how anyone can ever expect to have a positive outcome acting like this.
So I just straight up sent him a picture of those two channels and I said, "Is this your YouTube channel?" And he says, "No, man, if only I had this big channel, then I could pay you much more. I only have one YouTube channel and I have 2 subscribers there." And he puts a sad face. He sends me some YouTube channel, and for some reason he even sends me the date the YouTube channel was created. Now, if you look at when they created the YouTube channel, it was created in 2016. This is a channel that he claims is his personal channel that he sent to me. This channel was created in 2016, and remember, he's also a Turkish gentleman. Let's go over to the YouTube channel Deep Humor that I claim is impersonating me, also a Turkish YouTuber, also a channel created in 2016.
Something's definitely fishy there. That smell is smelling a little smelly if you ask me. This Turkish guy reaches out about purchasing Deep Humor from me, and then links his YouTube channel, which has 2 subs. Why could he possibly want the Deep Humor username? His YouTube channel has less interaction than the guy he's insulting, and his Twitter page is more dead than Concord. What would be the reason behind him wanting to purchase Deep Humor so badly that he is literally furiously typing at his keyboard the second he doesn't get an immediate response? Doesn't really add up. And it is interesting that his personal YouTube page that he sends the date of its creation of for some reason is the same year as the Deep Humor Turkish Street Interview page. That is quite a coincidence.
Why is he demanding the Twitter handle Deep Humor from me? Because he already has everything else. Instagram/Deep Humor, Facebook.com/Deep Humor, and TikTok @Deep Humor. This Twitter handle, Deep Humor, this is all I got over him. This is like that last fucking Infinity Stone in the Infinity Gauntlet that he's trying to get.
And that's pretty much where Chapter 1 closes here on the Deep Humor saga. But it's also what leads to, by far, the biggest catastrophe in this war. This is a tragedy, and it's one that we YouTubers know all too well. The Deep Humor Turkish Street Interview page files a copyright strike on the Deep Humor commentary YouTuber.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep my composure during this because this is just such BS, but my video talking about me losing my channel potentially just got copyright striked by the deep humor that I pretty much proved is copying me. This deep humor right over here.
A false copyright strike. The first blood has been drawn here. This is a huge sin online to file a fraudulent strike on another channel. Deep Humor, the real one, never even used a single second of the other channel's videos. Ever. There was nothing that they could even potentially make an argument for as a justification for taking down that video. The sole reason is because it made them look really bad. That is why they did it.
So YouTube messages me and says, hello, you received a copyright takedown request for your video. However, the takedown request is missing some legally required information.
The video actually got reinstated pretty quickly after the takedown because Goober forgot to put in some required information, which is still very alarming that he was even able to successfully take it down when he completely forgot half of the required shit. But that ended up sending Deep Humor the reason for the takedown. So, statement regarding the allegedly infringing work. And this guy said, my work of art. I think it's worth mentioning that this guy's channel is re-uploads of other people's work that he just edits together. He is a compilation channel. He credits some of the original artists, sure, but it's not like he has a work of art. He is taking shit that he sees on Instagram that he goes, haha, he downloads it and then puts it on YouTube. Like, to have the gall, the fucking chutzpah, to defend yourself like this, calling it a work of art, and trying to take down and silence someone who is making a very real case for why you have been a huge headache for them, is just, it's almost comical if it wasn't so sad and pathetic. Now I know there's probably a lot of people watching this saying, well, why didn't one of them just change their name? And I get that perspective. I'm glad the commentary channel didn't fold here and stuck to their guns, like defending the Deep Humor title, being loyal to it. I don't understand why the Turkish Street Interview channel didn't change their name at some point. The previous one got fucking banned. And it's not like the name Deep Humor even really fits the content that he's posting. He is a compilation of Turkish street interviews. Why wouldn't you have that name also match that content? It doesn't make sense to me. Instead of being Deep Humor 1 and Deep Humor 2, he could have just had a different name. And he also admits to changing his Instagram name, I think it was 7 times. So it's not like he's had Deep Humor since the beginning of the fucking Big Bang or anything. He is open to changing his shit around. Why wouldn't he do that for this? It makes no sense to me. Anyway, though, looking at this further, type of work, copyrighted logo. Where does the content appear? The content is located between 0 seconds and 34 minutes in the target video. Hey, Buster, the video is 15 minutes long. How the fuck could your logo appear in 34 minutes of that? Are you stuck in like the hyperbolic time chamber or something? What are you even watching? Jesus Christ. And now we get to the current day here, the most recent update where Deep Humor 1 left a response in the comment section. So he says that he watched the video after the comments, he's never seen the channel before in his life, he's been using the name on Instagram since the end of 2015, saying that old followers will remember that. He was only making edits on Instagram, had nothing to do with YouTube. There were a ton of channels using that name, uploading his edits. And at that time, due to his financial situation, he sold the Instagram account, paying royalties to all channels that used his videos. And most likely, the channel that was shown throughout all this, the one that used Deep Humor's logo, he's saying most likely that was one of his channels that he had taken down.
Someone else replied and said, you do have a Twitter account because you also would ask for that handle. That account had a Turkish flag, so you know because it's you. Also about the Instagram stuff, you say you have the username since 2015, but it shows that you have this account since December 2019, and you have changed your username 7 times. Suspicious. He replies and said, I don't need to buy a username because everyone in Turkey already knows me. Definitely gonna win the Humble Person of the Year award right there. Your friend's concept is different from mine, and even our languages aren't the same.
He claims that it wasn't him on Twitter that reached out about buying the Deep Humor name. He thinks it was someone that was reaching out to purchase it from the OG Deep Humor in order to sell it to Deep Humor 1. Fair enough, like, there's no way to prove it's the same person, but that is an interesting plan. To purchase the Deep Humor name for $50 to try and sell it to the Deep Humor Turkish Street Interview channel. I don't know how popular Deep Humor as a name is in Turkey. that there'd be multiple people wanting it so badly.
Okay, here we go. Someone says if it's just a misunderstanding and you're correct in everything, then why did you try to copy strike his video down? You could have just talked about it. Because in the video, your friend is making false accusations and slandering me. Let me stop you right there. That's not why you copyright striked me, though. You did not copyright strike me for slander or harassment or whatever you're claiming. You copyright strike me because apparently I used your copyrighted logo. So you're giving one reason, and then you're copyright striking me for another reason. For me to do this on this channel because my Turkish audience won't understand anything and it'll only make things more complicated, the copyright strike was just a warning. This sentence is more incriminating than anything that you have ever said. You just said that you gave me a false copyright strike to warn me.
Not exactly the biggest pro gamer move I've ever seen here, but maybe I just can't wrap my tiny brain around his galaxy brain plan. He openly admits that the strike was a warning. You're admitting to a fraudulent strike. You know that, right? You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. And he's just openly stating it. It's not something to be proud of that you falsely struck someone as some kind of show of power or whatever. He then also makes a subtle threat of potential legal action that he might decide to take. So he's really being a big asshole and openly admitting to something that you're not allowed to do, which is file a fraudulent strike. And he had no ground to stand on, even if he tried to make an argument for it, because his logo being shown once or twice in that video is not an issue at all in the first place. This is him being a petty douchebag. Now, he has made a response, and in the response, he did prove two things.
Yüksek ihtimal bu Türk adam aldı bu YouTube kullanıcı adını. Ben kapattırdım. Ben YouTube'da da yokum ya o zaman. Sadece Instagram'dayım. Ben kapattırır kapattırmaz bu arkadaş gitti kullanıcı adını aldı Deep Humor'ı. Yani şu anda bana dua etmesi lazım o arkadaşın. Günahını da almak istemiyorum. Ya da kullanacak mıydı? Çünkü bayağı bir popüler Türkiye'de. Ya bana satmaya çalışacaktı ya kendi kullanacaktı.
Ya bir şey söyleyeyim mi? Gerçekten bunlar beyin fukarası bak yemin ederim. Bak o videoda mutlaka izle. Bana atmış ekran görüntüsünü. Demiş ki bu YouTube kanalı senin mi demiş. Ben de demişim ki hayır benim değil. Kendi kanalıma atmış.
The vast majority of the video is him talking about some awful comments and some emails that he's gotten as a result of this, and he blames Deep Humor for it, saying that he leads them and herds them like sheep to harass him, which is just an outright lie. In pretty much every video Deep Humor's made about this, he tells people not to. He doesn't encourage that behavior at all. He shuts that shit down to the best of his ability, but because the story got so big, there's a lot of people who do that kind of garbage. And it's a terrible thing. Like, he's not wrong to be upset about it, but he is incorrect in saying that it is Deep Humor's fault. I'm relying on Google Translate here, so I don't know how accurate this is, but he shows his inbox where he has takedowns filed back in 2018. So presumably one of those channels was the one that started this whole hoopla, which was the channel that took the OG Deep Humor's channel logo. He then also proves that the account that reached out to Deep Humor through Twitter about purchasing the Deep Humor username is not him. He reached out to that same guy and had a conversation with him about it, where the two just kept exchanging insults at Deep Humor, and that dude even sent like 2 voice messages where he was calling him like an idiot and then making some shit up about how the OG Deep Humor was talking about something being illegal or whatever. So, I mean, that also confirms a third thing, that Twitter guy is a massive piece of shit. That guy super sucks. He is a turbo asshole. What Deep Humor's response fails to address, even loosely, is the fraudulent copyright strike that he filed. He also deleted his previous comments, so I can't go back through them. At least I don't think I can. I can't find them anymore. So he instead deleted the evidence where he openly admitted that it was fraudulent and a warning, and now in his response never brings that up for some very peculiar reason. That's so weird.
So basically he goes on for a while here, but basically he's saying the guy that I showed that DM'd me on Twitter isn't him. But the reason why I thought it was him is because of all the random coincidences coming together all at once. Coincidence number 1, Turkish Street YouTube channel takes my username and icon on August 2018. Coincidence number 2, on October 2018, that channel impersonating me gets banned, and then all of a sudden you pop out of nowhere less than 3 months later with the name Deep Humor also making Turkish Street content. Coincidence number 3, a random Turkish dude that has taken a weird interest in the name Deep Humor messages me on Twitter demanding the username. Could I have been wrong about all three coincidences? Of course, but am I unreasonable for leaning towards that conclusion? I don't think so. I feel like that makes total sense.
I agree. It's not an unreasonable conclusion to draw given all the circumstances, and it's something that could have been solved with the first video and none of the messiness with a fraudulent strike and all of that hoopla. Deep Humor 1 could have easily reached out and explained it to him, or just leave a comment on the video. Deep Humor 1 fucking loves the YouTube comment system. He leaves like 40 of those bitches all the time on all of his videos. He could have absolutely just left a comment on that first video, which he was clearly aware of since he struck it. He could have just left a comment explaining like, hey, you've got this wrong. That's not me on Twitter. That was not me back in 2018 that had your channel icon or anything like that. And then explain it. Like, that would have been super simple and it would have solved this right away.
And then he says, hello, my friend. The copyright was not fake. My logo was legally copyrighted and licensed. We have pretty much already kind of proved that this is false. Not his logo being copyrighted and licensed, but the fact that me making a 15-minute commentary/criticism video where I show his logo every now and then does not constitute as copyright infringement. That is protected under fair use. I've actually even talked to a few lawyers about this now, and they have all confirmed for me that that is fair use. Perfect point right over here. You don't send copyright claims over someone lying about you. That's an abuse of the copyright system. My friend, it seems you're not very knowledgeable about copyright. If I wanted to, I could have sent a notice to his channel for damaging the brand name or even filed a defamation for him, but I didn't.
Basically, he just keeps saying he could have done a lot worse but chose not to. Instead, he played it soft with just a copyright strike, one that he could not possibly enforce at all. Showing his fucking channel logo for a couple of seconds in the video is not grounds for a copyright strike. If the whole thing was about him being wrong in his assumption that you were the one reaching about the username, that is something that you could have solved with a single fucking comment about it instead of a strike. You can't weaponize frivolous strikes like this. I don't know why he can't understand that. And I think he does, which is why he didn't mention it at all in his video to his audience. Instead, he goes to the comment section where a lot less people are going to see how big of an asshole he is. It is so interesting that he can't wrap his head around him being the cause for this being such a big deal. His decision to strike this channel has led to it being this massive drama as opposed to what it started as, which was just like this weird, wacky story. Anyway, though, that's where the Deep Humor saga concludes for now. That's really about it. See y'all.
Kill them all.
The minute I saw this on the show, I said, this is fucking terrible. Okay?
You did say that.
But now,
We've secured the
as
lead.
always happens, the world saw my opinion and realized I am correct.
Right.
Although I have to give it to Roseanne, who's become Mr. Beast's biggest hater.
Her name is not Roseanne.
Rosanna, sorry, I misread it.
Shout out to Roseanne, too.
No, here, see, this is not my fault. Look who wrote this. It's got an E at the end. Somebody sabotaged me.
That's fucked up.
Roseanne, I've been sabotaged. Rosanna, you're my girl. I know your name.
Rosanna Pansine.
Pansine with Rosanna. Not that Roseanne.
Oh, okay.
She's much sweeter and nicer than that. Although that's probably how Mr. Beast sees her. God, he's regretting inviting her ass on the show.
God. The biggest next step of his career at this point, I think we can say.
You think so?
I'm being a little facetious.
Yeah, I mean, they're piling up. Also, I just read he's being sued now. Contestants are coming together from the Amazon show in a class action lawsuit against Amazon and Mr. Beast. It's filed. It's signed, sealed, and delivered.
Oh, looking good for Jimmy.
The issues are piling up. Although, worry not, my friends. Beast views are still doing great. Mr. Beast. Actually, that'll never.
And that was not anytime soon, I don't think.
Let's see.
It's too big to fail. It's literally too big to fail.
I just wonder, men and women surviving the wilderness for 500,000. I feel like he's going to start needing new ideas. They're getting repetitive and not interesting.
Well, to you, but you are a 43-year-old man.
No. I'm
eight-year-old.
giving him legit, honest-to-God advice that he needs to hear.
Okay.
He needs to really shake things up. You know what I mean?
UAV on station.
Boys versus girls in the forest.
You should just pivot into rental content.
Yeah.
Just do a fresh.
Interview Andrew Tate in Romania.
Yeah.
And,
Fresh and fit style content.
yeah, so, but I mean, yeah, he's a donor, obviously. And we're all very happy for him, aren't we, folks? But I am not happy about this lunchly. Disgusting. I think this is the most cynical thing they've done, the three of them. And well, here's what Rosanna had to say about it. And she's a foodie. Her thing is baking. She's made products for Walmart. And here she said, or she was proposed to make. She's made products for a big box store.
That's an even bigger flex. She said no to an 8-figure deal with Walmart. She said, I don't think so.
Well, let's read. She says, a few years ago, I backed out of an 8-figure deal. Now, my friends, that's at least $10 million with Walmart because we couldn't make the food with as good of ingredients as I wanted, organic and no preservatives, etc. at the scale needed. People like Mr. Beast, KSI, and Logan Paul absolutely could, and yet they choose to do this. Says everything you need to know. Now, listen. I don't even care if it's organic and shit. I mean, she's got a point, right? But my problem is like that they're obviously marketing this to kids, and it's disgusting trash. Like it is literally child poison. Like this is the worst fucking garbage filth you could put it in your child's body.
I mean, lots of people give their kids Lunchables.
No,
I guess you could say the same thing, right?
Listen, Lunchables, by today's standards, is not a good meal by any term, but it's not the worst. Lunchables is like a faceless organization that's been around for like 30 years, so like they're just rolling. You know what I mean?
Well, they got into trouble recently because of lead.
A little bit of lead.
Yeah, so maybe not. They're rolling around super smoothly.
How does lead get in the Lunchable?
I would imagine it's from the facilities themselves, like for.
Why are they using lead in the facility?
It's an old place, maybe. I mean, lots of things used to use lead.
Just a little bit of lead, though.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how that happened.
The CDC, not CDC, the FDA says it's unhealthy levels. I mean, that's objective. I think a little bit of lead a dab will do you, as you say.
Subjective, right?
Subjective.
That's what you mean, yeah.
That's right.
We're falling behind.
Lead can get into food products like Lunchables because it's naturally present in the environment and areas where lead was previously used. That can be found in the air, soil, water, and in homes. So, well, then what are they doing wrong? So ask it that, AB. What are they doing wrong then?
What's the problem?
Because
what is Lunchables doing wrong?
Yeah, because it sounds like if they're like, oh, well, lead is just natural, then it's like, okay, well, then what are they supposed to do?
It's natural? What does that mean?
Not a great. It says lead can be found in air, soil, water, and in homes. It's like, okay.
Well, they shouldn't use the part that's just lead. They gotta look if there's lead.
Yeah, right.
Remove the lead.
And I feel like I am not an expert, so forgive me if this is incorrect. But if there's lead in the soil, it's not there for natural reasons. The soil has been like contaminated with lead.
Most likely, it's a naturally occurring mineral.
Okay, I mean,
and it's just small parts.
Oh,
yeah, there's naturally occurring. Yeah.
How does lead wind up in soil? Let's see.
Is lead naturally occurring?
Yeah, I think it probably is from leaded gasoline and then settles into the soil.
It's a heavy metal found in the Earth's crust. We gotta go down to the crust. Lead occurs in small quantities in ore, such as galena, angelesite, and kerosite. Galena is the most important ore for the commercial extraction of lead. What the fuck are we extracting lead for? Lead has been used by... So wait, how does lead get into farming soil? You think it's from tractors and shit?
I mean, maybe.
Human activities, environmental contamination. Yeah.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Lead pollution from industrial sources, legacy lead from leaded gasoline, contaminated water, my God. Old lead-based paint, soil amendment, and so it sounds like their facility is not locked down on the lead department. Which,
Switching
so
next.
obviously they're not perfect by any means, but
what did a little lead? What did that ever do to anybody?
genuinely, like, you know,
at large.
We get a little mercury, we get a little lead,
right?
We get a little plastic.
Yeah, forever plastics and chemicals and stuff. You know,
we just.
You know what? You know what?
Carnivore guy will fix that.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know what? There's no lead in.
Carnivore diet will fix that.
Carnivore diet. That's probably not true, is it? Can lead be found in animal meat?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if they eat the wheat through the corn that was in leaded soil.
So he eats only beef. So let's see. Lead contamination in beef is uncommon, but it can occur actually from the environment such as polluted water, soil, and feed. So there it is.
Carnivore diet.
Can you find lead in fish?
Can you find? I think we'll probably just give the same answer.
And fish has mercury, right? That's like the bigger concern with the
mercury. Yeah, is a definitely. Yes, they can be found in fish. I think it's the same kind of thing. They're like, but you should worry about mercury. So yeah.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so these three guys who have predominant child audience have cynically come together to put in this just hideous abomination of a lunch. And this lady, I saw this TikTok, and she really, I think, explains it quite well here. Let me show you guys this. I'm working on it.
What lady?
She's right here.
Oh, that lady.
Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, and KSI have all partnered up to make knockoff Lunchables. I want to talk about
I want to give her a shout out. It doesn't say.
Scroll down. Shout out, lady.
I want to give a shout out to.
Scroll down.
This doesn't let me. It just won't let me.
I'll send the name.
It says no.
Carnivore diet will fix that.
It says no. You can't scroll down actually.
We turned that feature off.
I mean, as you can see, I can go up, but it stops here. Why is that? Why are we doing this?
Maybe you're zoomed in.
Here. That is, her name is Gucci Pooj. Nice. Gucci Pooj. There it is. Thank you.
Marketing practices. All three of these people have been involved in various controversies, and Mr. Beast's probably the biggest one of late. This is a really interesting time for them to come up with a product directed at children. So we'll see how that works for them. Let's talk about it. If you go to the Lunchly website, they try really hard to compare it to Lunchables and show you why it's such a better thing than Lunchable. They're like, the combos are more flavorful. There's more, I almost said sodium. There's more
Now this is what I picked up on, but this is so cynical and gross and weird. They literally said ours has more salt. It's the packaging is bolder and the gestures are bigger. What the fuck does that even mean?
I have no clue.
And it's more flavorful, apparently. But she breaks it down.
Electrolytes. The packaging is bold, the gestures are big, and it's not mid, which
not big.
Literally nothing on here as a mom is something that would encourage me to buy this for a kid. This is marketing for children. My kid does not need electrolytes in their Lunchable. Electrolytes are salt. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, chloride, calcium phosphate, and bicarbonates. So I want to show you guys.
I find that absolutely insane that they're marketing electrolytes in a Lunchable. Bro,
These
what?
kids need to start juicing, dude. I disagree. Kids need to get swole. They need to work harder. Think harder.
They need to be like sweating uncontrollably for like 12 hours.
Yes, that's how I did it. We didn't have AC in Southern California public school. It was hot as fuck.
She points out that the Lunchable they're comparing it to has salt in it.
Oh, well, yeah, you probably shouldn't eat those either.
I'm just saying,
reality.
They built up electrolytes as part of this marketing campaign in Prime. That it's like some miracle mineral. It's just salt. Just salt.
Guys, the actual what's in the packaging. This is what Lunchly says. This was the comparison that I pulled from their website. They have a section called Us versus Them. They say that they're specifically comparing themselves to this Lunchables Turkey and American Cracker Stackers with the Reese's Cup and the Pacific Cooler and
again, if I'm buying a Lunchable, this is the last one I'm getting because this is foul on an equal level for a child to be consuming. Capri Sun, all sugar. Reese's, massive sugar dump. But the crackers, cheese, and meat, I don't have really a problem with. I think that's fine.
the American and turkey. You can see it all right here, and has a little section where you can click View UPC, which you know I clicked because I laterally read. And I was like, I'll look this up. Let's make sure they're looking at the right thing. Guess what? Spoiler, they aren't. This UPC actually belongs to the pepperoni pizza like bulk pack that you can buy, but it's specifically for pepperoni pizza and not for the other thing. And I looked up one more barcode.
What's the significance of that? I didn't understand. What does it matter if they pick the wrong barcode?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe.
I don't think that any of their barcodes are right, so I just compared by like pulling the actual items. Here are the claims. They say both packages contain 11 grams of protein. Fantastic. They highlight that their package contains 230 calories as opposed to 310 calories like Lunchable. They talk about how their Prime flavor drink contains 400 milligrams of electrolytes as opposed to 55 per Capri Sun. And they talk about how there's less sugar per package in the Lunchly than in the Lunchable. But let's look at the real number. We'll start with the calories. First thing I want to say is that as a mom, I want more calories.
Yes, that's what I said. These guys clearly don't have kids. We're not putting our 5-year-olds on diets. What the fuck are we doing here?
That's crazy, actually.
Why are you advertising less calories to kids? You're trying to like give kids eating disorders already? Like kids do not count calories. Kids should not be counting calories. The idea of that is absurd.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. Just even introducing something as low calories for babies.
They're
fucking
kids.
insane.
They run around all day. They need energy.
Yeah.
You can eat as much as you want. Eat, child. Eat. Yeah. Eat, please. If you have kids, you know that that's the thing.
I want the most calorically dense food that my kid will enjoy eating for my dollar. That is how you raise children. None of these people, Logan Paul, KSI, Mr. Beast, none of them, as far as I know, have children. And maybe they don't understand this, but like, I want my kid to have calories.
Yes.
And these numbers, by the way, are not that different in terms of like food that goes in a child's body so that they can get an education while they're at school. So you don't need to replenish electrolytes unless you have lost electrolytes. Like, yes, we need to have electrolytes throughout our life. They're just in the foods we eat and drink. But unless you have like a medical condition or something, you don't need a bunch of salt in your drinks. And yes, Prime Energy drink does have like magnesium, calcium stuff that like Capri Sun doesn't have, but it's also not the primary goal of parents who are trying to buy products for their children. My kid is not sweating uncontrollably before 10:30 a.m. and needs to replenish their electrolytes.
Your kid's not working hard enough.
First period PE, man, in the 7th grade. I'll never forget.
Yeah.
It sucked.
You felt your electrolytes were.
They make our asses run at 8 a.m. And it was like, especially, you know how it can get in Southern California. It can already be hot as fuck by 8 a.m. And then you're sweaty, and then you're like that for the rest of the day.
What electrolytes gonna help you with sweat?
Well,
you're gonna dry your clothes.
It's not gonna help with the sweat, but I've bled all those electrolytes. I need to concentrate. Electrolytes, it's very important to brain function.
Well, so what I do is I send my kids to school with salt liquid.
Oh, interesting.
It's just a block of salt that they lick after they run.
Like a cow.
Like a horse?
Correct.
Really?
Yeah, it's then they don't have to worry about it. Son, give us the lid. Check this out. So they're comparing themselves to Lunchables.
Securing objective.
Here they have a where's the chart? I want the chart.
It's in there's like a us versus them. Here.
They're behind Prime. I've had Prime.
Yeah,
I did not know. So yes. So I should know these companies based on their fonts. Is what they're saying. They're creating like a font unity.
Where's the fucking chart?
It's right here. It looks like they actually did update it.
I think they removed it because it was so dumb and bad.
Well, no, now it just breaks it down per product.
No, there was the one where it says they compare it and they're like, our packaging is theirs is fucking mid.
Yeah, it looks like they did remove that. You're right.
So I need that image.
Oh, the packaging.
Yeah,
that's something to brag about. I mean, unless it's ecological, it's like all of our packaging is biodegradable. Then I would be like, yeah, if I can, it just looks dope. Pump it up.
I feel like this was a huge misstep because it's just so cynical and it's geared specifically to kids, and it's just not.
I don't like that. But kids don't need to be talked to.
So here's this guy, Dan TDM. I don't know where this guy. He's a gamer. He's a gamer.
Dan Tidham.
Okay. He says, "What happened to YouTubers, man? I can't say anything anymore. This is selling stuff for the sake of making money. Simple. How does this benefit their fans? This is selling crap to kids who don't know better than to trust people who are selling it to do better." Okay, so
I like
So
that.
here's where it gets
Did they
interesting.
reply?
All 3 of them replied.
Yes, let's fucking check this shit. I'm not a Twitter person anymore, nor was I ever.
Good for you.
So this is always nice for me to like Twitter literate humans like coming at me with info.
I got it, bro. So first, let's look at Mr. Beast. They're doing some mad PR right now. So he says, Lunchables sells hundreds of millions of units and countless people eat it. Our goal is to give people a better for you alternative to it. Now that's straight up a lie. It's not better alternative by any measurable metric. The only difference is that it has salt in it, a ton of fucking salt.
Which is a it's an electrolyte thing, but that's for adults.
It's for extra. It's for like elite athletes.
Yeah, elite athletes, 100%. Yeah, all that like salt thing. You're just like, I've got hypertension. It's like, take these electrolytes. I mean salt.
And then all the food they eat has a shitload of salt in it already.
That's always that's a sign of quality, and also laziness on packaging.
I love salt. Don't get me wrong.
There's like packaging that has nitrogen built into it that helps things stay long. Without adding whatever.
Lead.
Yeah, lots of lead. Obviously.
Actually, Lunchables we learned did.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
A little.
Just a little. Oh my God. Just a little. God, corpse, man.
Just a little.
Corpse be corpse.
But in Rome they used to lead their wine. No, because it tasted good.
Oh my God, crazy.
For real. There's theories that it contributed to.
So they found it in like bone samples.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And in their cups and stuff.
In their cups. That's so funny.
But there's theories that it contributed to some mass psychosis, like people just losing their minds and acting irrationally and stuff.
Drugs.
Is lead a drug, I guess?
So Mr. Beast releases this highly factual, super empathetic response.
Our turkey meal, for example, is 80 less calories, 60% less sugar, and more electrolytes. Motherfucker, this is for 5-year-olds. 80 less calories is not a big brag. We use real cheese and they use cheese products. They can't call it cheese, higher quality meat, etc. Obviously, eating fresh chicken and broccoli is healthier. But if someone is going to eat a pre-made meal like this, which millions of people do through Lunchables, then I think giving them a higher quality version at roughly the same price is a net good. And why we launched this to help kids be. He goes, that's why we launched Lunchly.
That's why they did it. Oh,
he said,
that was it.
No,
they weren't planning on doing it. This is totally extra.
He says he's doing it for the kids.
For the kids. Okay. And now, actually, I'm starting to shift a little bit.
And frankly, they need less calories. The kids, we need to feed them less.
That's the thing that's kind of making me, it's moving my needle a little bit more in their favor.
It's actually 80 less calories. Yeah. It is fat, fucking greedy. Yeah. They can't.
Those kids they're almost a lost cause. It's like when I see like people.
They shouldn't eat.